Okay, we'll call the Plan Commission meeting for Tuesday, March 15th to order. Roll call.
I got it. Mr. Golden? Here. Mr. Johnson? Here. Mr. Caprillion? Here. Mr. Rosendich? Here. Mr. Page?
Here.
Mr. Panker and Ms. Schmidt are not here, but we do have a quorum.
Okay. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes of the February 15th, 2022 meeting. Motion by Mr. Rosendich to approve. Second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Item 4 is to identify potential conflicts of interest. Please be advised per city policy 3.340 that any member of the body shall declare a conflict if they have an interest, financial or otherwise direct or indirect, or engage in a business or transaction or professional activity or incur any obligation of any nature that is in conflict with the proper discharge of the body's official duties. Anyone with a conflict with anything on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens who wish to comment? Any citizens going twice, 3 times? Moving on to item number 6. A conditional use request by SC Swiderski LLC for a residential group development to construct 6 duplexes for the property in the MR24 multifamily residential zoning district located west of North Hume Avenue and north of East McMillan Street, parcel 250-260-333-0983, presented by Emmett Simkowski, Associate Planner. Emmett.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paschal. So a quick background on this area. This property's development started in 2017 with phase 1 development, and they recently just finished phase 2 this past year, and now they're looking to get started on phase 3 for this development. The proposal is to construct 6 duplexes on this roughly 3-acre parcel. And because there's one more principal structure on one parcel, it needs to be approved as a group development as a conditional use. So the property is located on the northeast side of the city. It's currently vacant and it's zoned MR24. So the property was recently rezoned from CMU to MR24 to accommodate this development and bring consistency with the previous development. So the property is primarily surrounded by multifamily to the north, east, and southeast, and it's surrounded by commercial, by Walmart to the northwest, west, and southwest. So at 3.3 acres, the overall density of this parcel would be 3.6 units per acre in MR24 with 12 units on it. The MR24 district is intended for up to 24 dwelling units per acre. Making this development substantially less than phase 1 and phase 2, but within the MR24, single family, 2-family, multifamily are all allowed in that district. So the future land use in accordance with the city's comprehensive plan indicates this area has high density residential and recommends more than 6 units per acre with this future land use. So the proposed site plan consists of 2 different models of duplexes, the Bedford and Rockwell models as they're calling them. With the biggest difference between the Bedford is being a 3-bedroom and the Rockwell is a 2-bedroom. These are renderings what they'll look like. The Bedford, the 3-bedroom, the garage sticks out more and it's not sunk in, so they have a little bigger garage and more space in the home. So this site is unique that it does not have frontage on a road right-of-way and was created by granting of variance. Typically the front yard setback is the lot line on the right-of-way. However, this site does not have a defined front side or rear lot line, and staff is requiring just side and rear setbacks to be met. With that said, in MR24, the most restrictive setback is the rear setback at 30 feet versus the front yard setback at 25, and all portions of this development will meet that 30-foot setback as well. So regarding parking, each unit will have at least a 1-car garage with room for more parking within a driveway. Single and 2-family require 2 spaces per unit, so they would be meeting this requirement. There's also a 5-car parking spot. You can see this would be on the upper right-hand side, which should be kind of east of Walmart, that way. And also, although not required with 1- and 2-family dwellings, landscaping requirements are not required, but they are proposing a modest amount of landscaping that you typically wouldn't see with 2-family developments. Also regarding the way the drive goes through the site. The city asked them to provide more access to it and to have worked with city staff at City Hall, Fire Department, and Marshfield Utilities regarding the way they ran utilities. So with that said, staff's recommendation is to approve the conditional use request by SC Swiderski for a residential group development to construct 6 duplexes for the property in the MR24 multifamily residential zoning district located northwest of North Hume Avenue and north of East McMillan Street. The following conditions: that minor site plan changes may be administratively approved, provided no other exceptions are required. And that's all I have.
Okay, this item requires a public hearing, so I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this matter? Any members of the public who wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Rosevich, second from Mr. Golden. Any discussion on this matter? Quentin?
When's the projection to start on the project?
From what I know, they want to start this spring right away.
Okay. Have they met with the fire department and everybody already, or is that?
Yep, correct. They went through with us twice, and initially they had only one drive going in, and there's kind of more like a turnaround.
Sure.
And that was one request that we had, is if they could make it go through. And also another thing we looked at too, if somebody from that other development goes in, they don't have to find a spot to do a Y-turn. They can just drive through the site if need be. Initially to the utilities, this one would be easier to see. So north is straight up and down. Utilities were coming from the existing development to the east. But there's actually a water main and sanitary sewer that runs along the Walmart property line. And utilities and wastewater, we all wanted them to hook up to that. And it worked out a lot better that way.
Thank you.
So they did meet with us quite a few times.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, the motion is to approve the conditional use request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Item number 7 is a preliminary plat review request by Aaron Staub to review the map and other materials of Prairie Run First Edition for conformity with all ordinances, administrative rules, and regulation. Subdivision is zoned PD, Planned Development District, and located to the north of the Wildflower Drive and west of Prairie Drive, right-of-way extended in the city of Marshfield, parcel number 250-2603-314-0027. The property is legally described as part of Block 6 of Prairie Run, being part of Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map number 13721, volume 60, page 98, being located in the west half of the southeast quarter of section 31, township 26 north, range 3 east, city of Marshfield. This is presented by Stephen Wiley, city planner. Stephen.
Thank you. So this item kind of goes back a little ways. You will remember last month, Aaron approached us with the general development plan amendment request that came before Plan Commission. It ended up going to Common Council and was approved earlier this month. The next step in the process of continuing build out of the subdivision is to get the preliminary plat that you saw before to actually bring that forward to Plan Commission. That's where we are today. This is for 2.013 acres, so a little over 2 acres, more towards the center of the subdivision there. You can see the location, you're familiar with it, just north of West McMillan Street, kind of a peninsula jutting out into the town of McMillan there. So to remind you of the future land use map recommendation, the area that we're looking at is recommended for medium density residential. It's a little hard to see on the screen, but this is the plat that is before us. I included it in the staff report before, and it's also here, obviously today. It is for 8 single-family residential lots. So currently the land is not platted. The developer is approaching us to actually plat this out. The first step is a preliminary plat review. It will require extensions of the streets and utilities. If this is approved, the city would have to extend the streets and utilities in order to make these sites completely development ready. I believe the developer is proposing a private access drive along the western edge of these 8 lots. That would not be city right of way, but it would just afford access to these parcels. As far as parkland dedication, this again is in a park acquisition area. The developer has already planned to dedicate a little over an acre of land on the eastern side of the subdivision, and that went before the Parks, Forestry, and Recreation Committee on February 9th. And was approved as part of the general development plan amendment. We still support that, obviously, as the developer is proposing it. Stormwater-wise, the city engineer, Tom Turchi, has weighed in, and he does not have any concerns with stormwater from that standpoint. The reduced density as a result of the revised land use mix for the subdivision will ensure that stormwater should not be an issue. The stormwater infrastructure was designed for the previous densities. Wetlands, there are some in the vicinity, but not on this subject parcel here, so those should not be an issue. Just making sure I don't miss anything here. As far as the subdivision ordinance, just want to touch on that. It does require a minimum block length of 600 feet. The block length for this parcel would be about 700 feet, or actually the 8 parcels together, I should say. So it does fall within the range mandated by the subdivision ordinance. So with that, we do not have concerns with this one. We are recommending approval of the preliminary plat as proposed.
Okay, this also requires a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this matter? Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Cotillion to approve the preliminary plat.
The first motion.
Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion on this or any questions? We talked about it last month, so I think we got everything covered. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. And we'll move on to item number 8, which is a final plat review request by Tim Vreeland for the Green Acres Estates First Edition subdivision, presented by Stephen Wiley, City Planner.
Thank you. So this one came before the Plan Commission, the preliminary plat, I should say, back in November of last year. So now the applicant is approaching us with the final plat, wanting to get that approved here. So it is located on the southeast portion, in the southeast portion of the city. You can get a sense of the location here with this aerial map. And so the subdivision would consist of 55 single-family parcels. Future land use map recommendation is medium density residential. And the density as proposed would fall within that. So as far as the park acquisition areas, there are none in the vicinity. So in lieu of park land dedication, the fee would be required. And so it would be $11,000. It'd be 55 parcels at $200 a parcel, so 11,000 total. As far as the, and I wish I had got to put in the actual plat, but yeah, sorry about that. Thanks, Evan. I just want to show you the plat itself so I can call attention to a few things here. Okay. So as far as the zoning for this, there's a strip of parcels that you'll see when Emmett pulls it up here on the northern part of the plat. And those would be TR6, so 2 flat residential zoning. So that little strip there. Yeah, right along here would be TR6 zoned. All of these. And then the ones on the main portion of the plat here would be single family 4. So single family residential, which is pretty standard zoning for a lot of new subdivisions in the city here. This obviously would afford us with more buildable parcels once utilities are extended and streets are extended to this area. That would have to happen, much like the Prairie Run situation, it would have to happen here too for these to be buildable. The proposed subdivision is within the newly created TIF 13 district. And I believe within that district, no more than 35% of that area can be residential parcels. Also, it has to be a minimum density of 3 units per acre. This, as proposed, would meet both those requirements. And I believe that was stated in the staff report initially for the preliminary plat. That hasn't changed for this, for the final plat. The developer has stated that they would dedicate land for a potential trail in this subdivision as requested by the Parks Director. Stormwater management wise, there is a stormwater pond for the Green Acres subdivision on the southeast corner of the unopened intersection of 21st Street and Aspen Avenue. The city engineer has reviewed plans for that pond to relocate that on city-owned property and does not have concerns with that proposal. So stormwater, we do not foresee an issue with that at this point. Wetlands are not located within the subdivision. So again, with wetlands in this case too, there should not be an issue. Just to remind you, and I believe this came before you before, the subdivision ordinance requires that minimum and maximum block length. So the minimum of 600 feet, as I mentioned before for the last item, the maximum is 1,500 feet. So there will be exceptions needed for both of those for this subdivision. The block along 21st Street would be a little more than 1,500 feet. So that would require an exception from the maximum block length. And then the block bordered by Herkert, I think, in Aspen, is only 425 feet in length. So that would not meet the 600-foot minimum. So again, those were, I think you granted approval or to recommend approval at the last meeting when the preliminary plat was approved. But we're just reinforcing, reminding you that those exceptions would be required as part of this. With that, I think that's what I have on this one. I'm just going to go back to the recommendation. And just want to call to your attention the fact that city staff is still working with the council on the development agreement process. So this one's a little different. There's a lot of moving parts. And rather than take this final plat straight through for parkland dedication and for council approval, we wanted to hold off until the development agreement is approved. So Plan Commission, you can still review and make a recommendation on this tonight, but then we would hold it and keep it from going before council until that development agreement is worked out. So with that, we were recommending approval. Again, with the fee in lieu of parkland, as I mentioned before, that'd be the $11,000 total amount. Again, that would be submitted to the city at the time of final plat approval. The exceptions for the minimum and maximum block length would be granted, and then the development agreement should occur before this goes to council.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Rosendich to approve. A scratchy motion. Yeah. Second by Mr. Kropilian. Any discussion, questions? Okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, none, that motion carries. Item number 9 is a review in accordance with Wisconsin Statute 6223, a request by the city of Marshfield for consideration and report on the approval of the certified survey map for dedicated right-of-way for Yellowstone Drive, presented by Stephen Weil.
Thank you. So this item is mandated by section 6223 of the state statutes. So here we are looking at right-of-way dedication along Yellowstone Drive. There is some land that the university is looking to sell to the city. The city is looking to acquire from the university. You can see here an aerial of the subject site. So there's a little over 123 acres of land that is part of TIF District 12 and would be slated for future industrial development. And as part of that, the university would sell us these parcels, we would acquire them. And in order to streamline the process, rather than do it as acquisition and then later have to subdivide and dedicate right-of-way, we figured that we could, since they're doing a CSM for this anyway, a certified survey map, as part of the land sale, we could, with the CSM, we could dedicate right-of-way altogether and streamline the process from 2 steps to 1. So you can see, a little hard to see, but this aerial, and I think I included it in your staff report packet, Yellowstone Drive does vary right now in terms of right-of-way width. Right now, it is a collector street. With future anticipated industrial development and likely higher traffic volumes for that street, it may end up as a minor arterial based on the volume of traffic anticipated. The minimum right-of-way required from the center line would be 40 feet of width for a minor arterial. Right now, Yellowstone would not meet that requirement. So the CSM that is proposed here would include a 7-foot strip to be dedicated as right-of-way for Yellowstone to accommodate that required width. So this one, you would not be taking any formal action on it. The Board of Public Works and the Common Council would approve it or review it, but we would just be looking for any feedback. We're looking for you to review it and provide any input to staff before that process would occur. And so with that, that's our recommendation at this point.
Any questions, Quentin?
With us not acquiring the land yet, correct? Can the county get involved with to help the construction of that extra 7 feet so it's not all in the city? Can it be, or the township of Hewitt?
I believe they're not actually doing the road, they're just dedicating the right-of-way for us right now.
Additional road built. It's
Correct.
not even built.
It's just the right-of-way, so it'd go a little more into the ditch, or we would have a little more road, so when they do, if they ever end up doing it, they have the room to do it.
Now with extra traffic, I mean, that road is fairly old. I know the portion within the town of Hewitt was redone this last summer. What's the plan for that? I mean, can it handle heavy trucks right now? It's going to become commercial.
That I'd have to follow up with our Public Works. Steve, I don't know if you know.
Yeah, and I think we talked to our engineering staff on that to see what the traffic load and those kind of things. As far as getting back to the construction thing, I mean, it's going to come down to whose jurisdiction is it at the time that we, that we would do some improvement. But we can ask about the question you're talking about. It really is an engineering question.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we can partner up with something like that, I mean, it's a huge savings.
Yep, got it.
Any other questions? Any other feedback for the council? I think that, from my perspective, this is something that I would approve.
I would.
Okay.
Well, thanks for your input. And like we said, we'll look into that with engineering as far as timing of the street project and who would be involved in partnering up if possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 10 is staff updates. Any staff?
I think I'll just throw one in. I'm normally not here. You guys probably don't see me. You're going to see me for at least the next couple of meetings. We posted the position that Josh Miller formerly held as Development Services Director. The deadline for applications is this Friday, the 18th. It'll take a couple weeks to go through them. We expect to do interviews in early April. And then depending how long somebody's going to give for notice to their current employer, we hope to have somebody here at least mid-May if we can. But you never know what's going to happen. These processes tend to take longer than you expect. But for the next 60 days, there's why I would think we're not going to have a director, but we're hopeful to get somebody good to replace Josh.
And along those same lines, this may or may not be my last meeting chairing this position, depending on the mayor's race and how the meetings line up for next month. So if not, I've enjoyed learning a few things about city planning.
And thank you for all you've done in this commission. I appreciate that. That does bring up something that I meant to talk to Emmett and Stephen offline about, and that is it'll be the organizational meeting for the council on Tuesday, April 19th, which is your next meeting. We've done different things at that time. We've done something where we've had their organizational meeting where they make the appointments and do the swearing in oath of office at 6 o'clock, and then the plan commission meeting is normal at 7. We've actually flip-flopped that before and had plan commission at 6, depending upon what's on the radar for applications. But of course, you need to know well in advance if you're going to flip it because you have applicants and public hearing notices and those kind of things. So it's up to you. If you want to stay with 7 o'clock for the 19th of April, that's fine, your call.
Or would you like to do what we do for the holidays and just take it to a Wednesday? I don't know if that works for everyone. So you get it out of the way. Okay,
Your call.
I guess we can touch base. I'll touch base with you later this week or something before.
Sounds good.
But just something to think about right now, I guess.
I didn't realize you'd done that. That's an option.
And I didn't realize that was the council thing either. So if I knew that.
And it would depend on if you want me to chair the meeting or the new mayor. Anyway. Item 11 is items for future agendas. Are there any?
So right after Josh left, he finally let me know that he got through the proposed zoning code and some of the changes we had. He put some comments in there, so I got to kind of go through and scrub some of them. But whether April or May, if it's not something that'll go for approval, but it's something I can at least get a list of the bigger items that we changed and at least get you guys a digital copy that you can go through. So that's one thing I want to get going as soon as possible.
Okay. Anything else, Stephen?
Nope, I don't believe so.
Okay. Item 12 is a motion to adjourn. Clinton, second by Chris, and we're adjourned.